to sign peace accord today. Vote according to your conscience. Oyegun. And my bad. I want you to know that I won't be doing this alone. I have with me a beautiful lady sitting right before me, and that is Pelumi. Pelumi, good morning.
Good morning. I hope you all had a great night. My name is Pelumi Adedoja, and I have with me the Punch newspaper. Boldly written on the front page of the Punch newspaper, we have petrol price, electricity tariff hike, TUC, NACA, ASU. Talk tough as federal government meets labor today. TUC issues 7-day ultimatum, plans nationwide protests beginning September 23. We will convince Congress others on price increases at today's meeting, says federal government.
Okay, I have your failed state presidency's reaction disappointing, worrying, say Afeniferi, NEF, or Haneze, NBF, Pandef.
We have U.S. extend visa ban to Edo, Ondo, poll offenders of passengers stranded as ARIC workers strike ground airline.
Okay, I have that story here. U.S. imposes visa ban on election riggers in Kogi, Bayelsa, Ondo, Edo.
We have Dangote refinery may not reduce fuel price, says federal government. We have how Adeosun saved me when I was first ambushed, Buratai.
Okay, I have here electrical surge responsible for Ondo INEC fire, police say, and I have court remand 6 in prison for sex video at Oshun Oshobo Shrine.
We have Nasarawa highway gunmen kill 2 FRSC officials, abduct 10. We have Abiola's Cameroonian wife braved me to challenge son's detention. Ozekome.
Okay, I have bandits kill 2 FRSC officers, abduct 10. Gunmen kill local government director in Ekiti. Couple in Plateau. Hoodlums beat policeman to death in Ogun. Man shot dead over shawarma. Cult members kill OPC coordinator. 2 others in Lagos.
We have Ogun orders 40 communities to relocate before flood disaster. We have Josu paralyzes hospitals as health workers protest unpaid allowances.
Okay, I have here EFCC arrests 2 lecturers, 20 others for alleged internet fraud in Kwara, and I have me military airstrikes hit bandits. Military airstrikes hit bandits camp in Zamfara, kill scores.
And 2 headlines regarding Edo election. Obaseki asks INEC to deploy drones, use Z-Pod. Also have again, NBC warns broadcasters threaten sanctions. Please deploy 31,000 officers for Edo governorship poll.
Okay, I have a health workers strike may reverse COVID-19 response gains, PTF. And finally, from my side, workers in Lasu, Laspotec, others protest non-payment of 15 months minimum wage arrears. Okay, and that's all we have for you from the headlines. When we come back, we go straight to the details, and not to forget that we have our analysts seated in the house. When we come back, we'll bring you the details of the stories. Please stay tuned.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now to page 2 of the Punch newspaper, petrol price, electricity tariff hikes. TUC, NACA, ASA talk tough as federal government meets labor today. The Academic Staff Union of Universities on Monday said the federal government had surrendered the growth and development of the country to the International Monetary Bank and World Bank. The national president of the union, Professor Biodun Guyemi, who said this in a telephone interview with the newspaper in Lagos, said the federal government should prepare for more crisis as people's anger against the government would worsen as a result of hunger in the land. Under that headline, we have sub-headline, Nigeria not being operated by those who love Nigerians. Lecturers accusing the government of insensitivity. Ogunyemi stated that, and here's a quote: our own understanding of the situation is that the government, as we have in Nigeria today, is not being operated by those who love Nigerians. Also, we have your actions Annihilating Nigeria, Congress tells Buhari. It's in its letter to the president, the TUC stated, and here's a quote: "We have observed the gradual and steady annihilation of Nigeria and Nigerians in the light of government actions for the opted time." Whatsoever, NECA berates federal government for not repairing refineries. On his part, the Director General of the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, Mr. Timothy Olawale, berated the government for not repairing refineries. He said what the private sector had demanded was total deregulation, not price control. You can get details of this story and more on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Petrol price, electricity tariff hike. TUC, NACA, ASU talk tough as federal government meets labor today.
Okay, on the page 2, I have a presidency's reaction to our intervention disappointing, say Afenifere NEF or Hanize Pandef NBF. Nigerian leaders and elders under the aegis of a pan-Yoruba socio-political group, Afenifere Northern Elders Forum, NEF, or Hanize Undibo, Pan-Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF, and the Middle Belt Forum, NBF, on Monday described as deeply disappointing and worrying the way the presidency chose to react to the pieces of advice offered by the groups and former President Olusegun Obasanjo on better ways to move the country forward. This was made known Dumakin for Afenifere Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed, NEF, Chief Guy Ukoku Ohaneze, Senator Basi Henshaw Pandef, and Dr. Isua Dogo MBF, or a copy of which was made available to the Nigerian Tribune. The presidency had, in its reaction, condemned the rally which held last week in Abuja, which featured the groups and Obasanjo, describing the former president as a divider-in-chief for saying that Nigeria, under President Muhammadu Buhari's leadership, was approaching a failed state status, among others. Leaders of the five groups, while distancing themselves from being the mouthpieces of Obasanjo, said it was left for the former president to choose how he responds to the lamentable response of President Buhari to his initiative. You have that on page 2. Presidency's reaction to our intervention disappointing, say Afenifere NEF or Hanize Pandef NBF. And also on the same page, Nigerians are united in anxiety, Awolowo Dosumu. Former ambassador of Nigeria to the Netherlands, Dr. Mrs. Olatokunbo Awolowo Dosumu, on Sunday said Nigerians are united in anxiety about the future of the country. Awolowo Dosumu was one of the panelists who spoke on the theme Understanding Contemporary Nigeria, What Unites Us, organized by the Political Leadership Academy, POLA, of former governor of Ogun State, Chief Benga Daniel, as part of POLA's National Dialogue series. She noted that building a stable community of people in a democratic setting is fast receding in the country due to lack of patriotism and honesty on the part of the leaders for a greater and a right nation. You have that on page 2. Nigerians are united in anxiety. Awolowo Dosumu. Another story. Again, DSS grills my lafia for 3 hours. If I perish in this course, I perish, he says.
Over now to page 8 of the Punch newspaper. Dangote refinery won't have high effect on fuel price, federal government. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, has said when Dangote refinery begins operation next year, it may not lead to significant reduction in the price of petrol because it will be selling at the international price. Ahmed said this was because the refinery was located at the export processing zone in Lagos State. The minister said this on the Nigerian Television Authority's Good Morning program on Monday, which was monitored by the newspaper. She said the only thing Nigeria would not need to pay was the shipping costs of fuel. You can get details of that story on page 8 of the Punch newspaper. Dangote refinery won't have high effect on fuel price, federal government. And over now to page 7 of the Punch newspaper. Our interest in South is purely economic, says Miyetti Allah. The Southeast chapter of the Mietiala Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria on Monday said its interest in the region was purely economic and nothing more. The chairman of MACBAN in the zone, Alhaji Gidado Zikidi, stated this while briefing journalists shortly after a meeting of the Joint Executive Council of the group in Enugu. It said the clarification became necessary following growing suspicion and speculation in some quarters about the activities of herders in the zone. You can get details of that story on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. Our interest in South is purely economic, says Mietiala.
Okay, on page 4, I have U.S. imposes visa ban on election riggers in Kogi, Bayelsa, Edo, Ondo. Candidates to sign peace accord in Edo today vote according to your conscience, Odige Oyegun. The United States on Monday imposed additional visa restrictions on Nigerians over election related activities in the African nation, the State Department said, accusing them of being responsible for undermining the democratic process. The restrictions were imposed on the individuals who were not named for their actions surrounding the elections of November 2019 in Kogi and Bayelsa states and in the run up to the September and October 2020 Edo and Ondo governorship elections. The State Department said in a statement, and I quote it, these individuals have so far operated with impunity at the expense of the Nigerian people and have undermined democratic principles, State Department spokeswoman Morgan Ortagos said in the statement. In 2019, the United States imposed visa restrictions on Nigerians. It said had undermined elections in February and March of the year. U.S. imposes visa ban on election riggers in Kogi, Bayelsa, Edo, Ondo. And also we have other stories. Health workers strike may reverse COVID-19 response gains. PTF as Joesu strike grounds activities at hospitals. The Presidential Task Force on the COVID 19 pandemic has described as unfortunate the declaration of a strike by the joint health sector unions, Johesu, saying that it can reverse the gains of the national response to the disease. The task force disclosed this as some health workers totally down tools nationwide, while a few others rendered skeletal services as the indefinite strike declared by Johesu began on Monday. Chairman of the task force and secretary to the government of the Federation SGF, Mr. Boss Mustafa, during Monday's briefing in Abuja, praised the National Association of Resident Doctors NARD for calling off their strike and urged Johesu not to down tools. He said the Minister of Labor and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, has assured that efforts are being made to address their grievances. You have the story on page 4. Health workers strike may reverse COVID-19 response gains, PTF, as Johesu strike grounds activities at hospitals.
Now going over to page 12 of the Punch newspaper, you can get details of the story Abiola read earlier. U.S. extends visa ban to Edo Ondo Post offenders. Still on that page, we have police deploy 31,000 officers for Edo governorship poll. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has revealed that 31,000 police personnel will be on ground to protect election officials, materials, and voters, as well as enforce rules during Saturday's governorship election in Edo State. Police deploy 31,000 officers for Edo governorship poll, and that's on page 12. Still on page 12 regarding Edo election, Obaseki asks INEC to deploy drones, use ZPAD. The Edo State governor and the People's Democratic Party candidate in Saturday's election in Edo State, Godswin Obaseki, has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission to deploy drones for the polls. Obaseki, who was at the venue of the INEC stakeholders meeting in Benin, stated that the use of drone would make it easy for INEC to monitor elections instead of only relying on human efforts. Obaseki asked INEC to deploy drones, use ZPADs, and on the same page, electrical fault caused Ondo INEC office fire. Police. The Ondo State Police Command on Monday said the fire incident which destroyed over 5,000 card readers at the Ondo State headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission was caused by power surge. The inferno, which occurred at the computer section of the INEC office last Thursday, destroyed the card readers stood for the October 10 governorship election. You can get details of the story on page 12 of the Punch newspaper. Electrical fault caused Ondo INEC office fire, and other stories on the same page. Again, NBC warns broadcasters threaten sanctions. We have don't be afraid. Come out, vote for PDP. You can get details of these stories and more on page 12 of the Punch newspaper.
All right, it's about time, just 18 minutes gone past 7. And like I said earlier, that we have our analyst in the house who I'm sure is ready for us this morning. Good morning, Mr. Pius.
Good morning, Abiola. Good morning, Pelumi. And I say good morning to our esteemed listener.
Okay, let's start from the first story that I read on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. They say that to know the road ahead, you need to ask those who are coming back from that road. And they say that experience is the best teacher. And we have the presidency reacting to some of suggestions from past leaders and elders of the nation. And a lot of them are disappointed by his reactions to the advice and some of the things they said concerning the state of the nation. What is your take on that?
My take on that is that I think it has come to a time in our country when the presidency just needs to pipe down a bit and try to listen to the voice of reason. You see, when you have it coming from just one person, usually before now it has always been the President Olusegun Obasanjo or President former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and maybe a few other Nigerians who are able to summon the courage to lampoon, so to speak, the President Muhammadu Buhari's government for having not lived up to its billing. If we have it that way, we would say, okay, perhaps it's as a result of bias, like the presidency has always said. But when you have groups coming from practically all sections of the country saying the same thing for the same style of governance by this current administration, I think a listening government, rather than begin to attack, should maybe for once, sit down and look at the issues objectively. Not forgetting that these people criticizing you are Nigerians. They are also stakeholders who are, I don't think they are by any means trying to pull down the Buhari's government. If anything, they are trying to even help the government to succeed. That's the way I see it. Because somebody who criticizes you, to me, is a better friend than the one who watches you fall without saying anything. The question is, if you look at some of the issues under criticism, like the president's style of governance, like the fact that there is more division in the country today, in terms of ethnicity and even religion, than we've had it in our recent past history. The fact that our economy doesn't even seem to be doing fine, despite the kinds of monumental borrowings that we hear every day. When you look at all these things, would you, in all honesty, say that as a government, you are really doing fine? Because if you are doing well as a government, it should reflect in the life of an average citizen of your country. Comparatively speaking, where the country was in 2015 before you came in, and now, would you say that security-wise, economy-wise, and in so many other fronts as a government, you have done better than the previous administration? I think these are the things that the government should begin to, beyond the politics of it now. Good enough, the president is not coming back for his third term. He is done with his first term. He's already into his second term. And the least he can do as a president or as a government headed by him is to leave a resounding legacy. And the earlier he begins to see it from that perspective, the better for every one of us. We talk about the Ohaneze Ndigbo. We talk about the Niger Delta Forum. You talk about the
Middle Belt.
The Middle Belt Forum. You talk about the Afenifere and even the Northern Elders Forum. This cuts across all parts of the country. So you can't say it's a question of bias or it's a question of these people not liking you or anything. These are Nigerians who speak for Nigerians. And so when issues like this come up, instead of the likes of Garba Shehu coming to attack, I mean, from their attacking front as a government, you should develop some level of thick skin to be able to absorb some of this criticism and look at it from a different prism altogether from the way you have always looked at it. Nigerians are not faring well. That is the truth. And when you see us cry and shout, it's because Nigerians want the best for the country. So, to cut the long story short, Abiola, the presidency needs to tone it down a bit. It's not everything you react to. Last week, Garba Shehu came out to say that food prices were dropping because of the wonderful policies of the government. But just yesterday, the Minister of Finance came out to say an entirely different thing altogether, that food prices are not dropping. And this is the kind of confusion we've always had in this government, because no common front, even among government officials, no middle ground. This one will come and blow from one cylinder, the other one will come and blow from another cylinder. And so we keep getting distorted information coming from the same government. These are things that the presidency really needs to sit down, if it still has time anyway, and try to put its house in order and give Nigeria the kind of governance that they envisaged. Attacking critics is never the way to go for any good government.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Pius. Now, this story, petrol price, electricity hike, tariff hike, TUC, NECA, ASO talked of it as federal government meets labor today. I'd like us to concentrate on the TUC strike, given the federal government 7-day ultimatum to reverse the recent increase of electricity tariff and the price of petrol. They said they will go on strike. And the federal government saying that they will try to convince TUC on the increase. So what do you have to say about that? And I really not like to expand this too much, but I also like to link it with a statement by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, saying Dangote refinery won't have a high effect on fuel price because they would still be selling at the international price.
The question is, why should we even as a country be looking up to one man? What if Dangote never came up with the idea of building refinery in the first place? And if one man can build a refinery, how come a country? These refineries were built in Nigeria by Nigerians in the past. So what is such a big deal in building refineries? Or better still, refurbishing the ones that we have on ground. What is the big deal? I think these are some of the issues. But leaving that aside, let me come back to the issue of the TUC. You see, you will not know the effects of this increase until you sit down, Pelumi, and do your calculation, which I did over the weekend. I took some of my bills, electricity bills, of the past, and I tried to do a kind of mathematics. You understand? Now, incidentally, I spoke with the communications officer of IBEDC, Ibadan regional office of the IBEDC, and she made us to understand that per unit, per kilowatt per hour now, you will be paying at least 62 naira. You get? And I tried to do the calculation because before now, from the bill that I have been getting in my own area, it means that we're paying 29 naira for this. You get? So if you are paying 29 naira and now you have to be paying that amount, about 62 naira per unit per kilowatt used. That's double whatever it is that you have been paying now. Outside the value-added tax, which had also been increased from 5% to 7.5%. So if you were the type, like the kind of crazy bills that we get in my area now, which is not commensurate with the quantity of, from all indications, supply that you get. If you are the type who gets at least 20,000 a month, or 25,000 or 15,000, as the case may be, they're expecting to get more than double that amount, VAT inclusive. So that's how monumental this increase is. So it's not really child's play. You understand? And coming from a time when the entire country is economically grounded, as I speak with you, a lot of people don't even have a source of income anymore. A lot of people are out of jobs as a result of the state of the economy. Remember, not too long ago, NEC came out to say that it wanted to increase electricity tariff. And then the National Assembly said it intervened. And we were told that, okay, because of the pandemic, until 2021, we will not see any further increase. But I think Nigerians were eventually ambushed because this one came at a time we didn't see it coming. And so, the thing you see giving federal government a 1-week ultimatum or thereabout, from what you read, to turn around, revert that price, both in petrol and in tariff, is not asking for too much. But the question is, do you rehearse protests? Immediately this happened, actually, all the labor unions should have even hit the streets. It's not even time for too much talk. It's time for action. You understand? So, I think as far as I'm concerned, the labor unions by this time have lost the bite. That passion, that, I don't want to use the word anger now, is dissipated as far as I'm concerned. And a lot of Nigerians are already trying to get used to the new regime of increases. And Nigerians, for who they are, very resilient people, we just have to swallow this hook again and move on. But Labour is meeting with the federal government. From what you read, let us see what the outcome of that will be like. But I don't see it personally. I don't think I see anything coming out of this at the end of the day. If Labour is able to achieve this at the end of the day, it will be a plus. But the truth again is that we need this, particularly on the issue of removal of fuel subsidy. As a nation, we actually do need it. But the way, like I said the other time, if we go about things is what makes it look as if we want to put more burden on the people. We have to be very strategic when we handle issues like this, because at the end of the day, at some point, we will need the deregulation, which also comes with the removal of fuel subsidy. Because by doing that, you open the market, just like you have in the telecommunications industry today. Anybody who has the capacity can come in and invest. And when that is done, I can assure you that there are a lot of private people in this country who can build refineries just like Dangote is doing. But because of the regulation, they cannot do that, because by the time you put in so much money and then the government tells you this is what you should be able, you must fix your price on, this is the way you must fix it and all that. There's no sense, there's no business sense in it. But if it is properly done, the way things ought to be done by a reasonable government, there is a plus in it. But I think that there is no strategy. They want a situation where this kind of moves, Nigerians will be the ones to suffer for it at the end of the day. And that is where the problem is. It's not in the move itself. It is in the timing and it is in the approach. And if the government is patient enough to listen to the voice of reasons and rescind these decisions and work strategically, give Nigeria a time lag and say, okay, within this period, this is what we want to do, and work strategically towards it, at the end of the day, everybody will be the better for it. But that of power, You say that you are increasing power tariff in order to rebuild your infrastructure. Is it Nigerians who will pay for the rebuilding of the infrastructure? That's the question. And the money that you have made of Nigerians all these years, have you been able to ply it back into rebuilding those infrastructure you are talking about? Nigeria should not be you are a businessman, because some of these discos now, they are more or less private enterprises. You understand? But you want Nigeria, at least from the explanation we got, you want Nigerians to be the ones to pay for your own infrastructure so that you give them quality, in quote now, supply. Where is that done?
Okay, hi, thank you so much, Mr. Pius. You can call you are dear listener can call and let us know what you think. The number to call is 0908-111-1067, 0908-111-1067, or you can call 0808-010-1067, 0808-010-1067.
Okay, in 1 minute, I want you to react to this story. Okay, I think we have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
It's William.
All right, good morning, Mr.
Morning.
Williams.
I want to say this morning. First, under this government of President Buhari, the lives of Nigerians have been devalued 3 times. Because each time you devalue the currency of the country, you devalue the lives of those attached to that currency. Now, a different government would have been ashamed of that record. But of course, we have our own government. Now, on Dangote Refinery, I want to say this. That man has been paid nationally for a long time. He has been giving waivers and treatment that other governments do not get. Now, this refinery for me, on that mill, is about to be paid. Finally, how can we devise solution for the problems we continue to live in denial of? The Buhari presidency is one that is living in denial. That somehow they are still comfortable saying what we are all feeling, what we are all seeing, these things are not there because they are living in denial. Have a nice day.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Williams. Okay, we move forward. U.S. imposes a visa ban on election riggers in Kogi, Bayelsa, Edo, Ondo.
I think it's a good move. When I saw the original statement from the United States, I read through the plethora of comments from Nigerians that followed it. And I didn't see any Nigerian who actually faulted that move, because it's something that even we as citizens have been very, very concerned about, that our elections do not really reflect, to a very large extent, the reality. In some cases, we've had so many examples at the risk of listing them, both in states and even in how do I put it now? Legislative elections and all that. We see all these things happen and the kind of things that follow election. And no country exists in isolation. No country exists in isolation. And so whatever you are doing, there are watchers who are watching what you are doing. And Nigeria is of interest in Africa, whether you like it or not. Number one, we are the largest economy. We are the most populous black nation in the world. And so we wield a lot of influence as far as Africa is concerned. And so when you have such move by a country like the United States, you cannot but applaud the US for taking such move to sanction, people who are said to have been involved in compromising election in the country. But I think that the US would have gone a step further to mention these people, although for diplomatic reasons, banned from traveling outside the country, which usually is a hiding place for some of these people. When they perpetrate evil in the country, when they destroy the country, they run out of the country because they have a safe haven elsewhere. I think this, to a very large extent, will teach them a lesson that you have to build your country, you have to make it comfortable for it to be a heaven for you too. And one of the ways you can achieve that is by allowing credible elections in the country. The only reason we would have loved to know these people is perhaps to name and shame them, as Nigerian citizens who have put their hands in things that compromise elections in the country. But since we don't know them, I don't think we will ever know them, because these people, they are always very careful. These international communities, particularly countries like the United States, when it comes to diplomatic issues like this, they are there. Even in the from what we were told, even in the general election that held, sometimes held in Kogi and Bayelsa State, and they are even extending it to that of Edo and Ondo State for whoever tampers with the election. So I think it's a good move by the United States, except that we do not know these people. And so there is no way as Nigerians we will be able to shame them for the shameful act that they have involved in. Be that as it may, I think it's about time our people started having a rethink when it comes to election and allow the true democratic principles to actually prevail in all our elections.
All right, thank you so much. The numbers to call so you can be part of the conversation: 0908-111-1067, 0908-111-1067, or you call 0808-010-1067, 0808-010-1067. You can also listen to us live as you visit us on www.pensionersfm1067.com, www.pensionersfm1067.com. You can also watch us live on Facebook. Go straight to our Facebook page, Pensioners FM, and you can watch us live. Okay, we have a caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. Your name and where?
My name is Ayodele, okay?
All right, good morning. What do you have to say?
Write my name down this morning. Tell Buhari to withdraw all his activities. Obasanjo is telling him the truth, and he should follow the truth. Buhari should let all the senators reduce their money from 15,000 to 10,000 for refineries. To refine, not on poor people. We poor people in Nigeria. Let Buhari reduce all the senators 15,000 to 10,000 to full refinery. Write my name down.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Tajuddin. I am so sure that there's somebody out there listening to you who will help you table what you have said before. Those in authority. Okay, health workers strike may reverse COVID-19 response gains. We have Mustafa who affirmed that Nigeria has continued to record a steady decline in the number of confirmed cases of coronavirus, saying that the national response has thus achieved results. But he claims that this will be affected as a result of the strike embarked upon by the health workers.
And that's the more reason they should tackle the strike. I mean, that's the more reason they should address the issue. Definitely, if you don't have health workers on ground and you have patients, who will deal with them? And that means a surge in the cases of the COVID-19. Definitely, from all indications, we are having, I think, reduced incidences of the COVID-19 pandemic as it is today in the country. And so if you don't have health workers on ground to tackle, to attend to COVID-19 cases, who does that? The implication is that there will be a spiral effect. An increasing effect of cases in the country, which is which will be a minus to the progress that has been recorded so far as the pandemic is concerned in the country. So the federal government and of course the health union, JOHESU, should come to a round table, if we still have one anyway, and discuss this issue once and for all and get them addressed. What JOHESU is saying is that you are attending to members of the National Association of Resident Doctors because they are doctors. Because we are not medical doctors, are we also not health personnel? And looking at it from that perspective, there's a sense in what they are saying. Because if you wanted, you knew as a government, you knew very well that these people, one way or the other, they play similar roles. They attended the same universities. They have their own, even if they are not medical doctors, they have their own areas of specialization and all that. And they have their own significance as far as the health sector in the country is concerned. So if you wanted to do something like this, you didn't have to do a selective approach. You needed to tackle it from a broader perspective. Look at it from the perspective of the health sector. How do we meet their demand? Not selective, attention given to a particular aspect of the health sector. Definitely, you know that these ones will definitely come up and ask questions. And that is what we are seeing now.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Pius. Now taking the story on page 12 of the Punch newspaper regarding the fire that engulfed the INEC office in Ondo, and the police coming out now to say that electrical fault caused the Ondo INEC office fire that power surge caused it. And we also understand that it's not the first time that power surge would. So what do you have to say about this repeated cause of?
We have heard. The police has said its own. We have heard. And we cannot question what the police has said. But as individuals, we have our own, whether I like it or not, we have our own impression. We have our own thoughts about what happened. Looking at certain parameters. Like you said, this is not the first time it's happening. It happened in Anambra State. It happened in Plateau State. It happened in Abia State. It has happened even at the INEX national headquarters. If you do your mathematics very well, you see that this happens particularly towards an election in most of the cases. Why does it have to be towards election that you have electric surge? Why has it not happened all these months, even during the cold dry season? Why did it not happen? The police has the right to say its own, and we as Nigerians, we have, like I said, we have the right to ask questions. And these are the questions I am asking. So you can come up with anything and try to hoodwink the people. The people will just swallow it and say, yes, the police has spoken. But deep in us, we know, or we assume that something fishy went, underneath. There was something fishy underneath. That's the general. If you ask an average Nigerian, as far as this matter is concerned, that's what they will say. But we cannot question what the police has said. The only thing we can ask the police is perhaps go back and do further investigations. Maybe a more thorough investigation. You probably will get a different finding. We've seen that happen time and time again. And the only reason that you could adduce to deliberate burning of car reader machines would be probably to postpone an election. Because if you think that by burning that you will compromise the election, there are also many other approaches to holding an election.
So are you saying subsequently they should prepare ahead for this happening since it's so frequent? So
well, it's sad that we are even talking about this at this time in our democracy. It's quite sad. I don't think this kind of things happen in so many places in the world. It's a very, very, very sad commentary. So I don't even know what we will have to do, Pelumi. But we really need to restructure not just the country, but our minds. We have very polluted and retrogressive mindset in this country. And it's not taking us nowhere.
Okay.
That's the truth.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Pius. At this point, we'll draw the curtain. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Mr. Pius.
Thank you for having me.
And we appreciate all our listeners. Thank you for joining us. And to our dear callers, Mr. Williams and Mr. Tajuddin. Okay, thank you for calling in. My name is Pelumi Adedoja. I say have a beautiful day.
And I am Abiola Ayodele saying good morning and have a great day.
Pensioners FM 106.7. Give me the good sound. I love good sound. What the